Welcome to the Conversations Across the Grand Canyon podcast, aka The Big Gap. Here, our purpose will be to explore the impacts of social, political, and economic issues through the lens of generational and cultural differences. Good day, listeners. This is your host of the Conversations Across the Grand Canyon podcast, aka The Big Gap. My name is Al Perry, the Sonic Boomer.
Okay, Boomer. Okay. Okay, Boomer. Okay.
And I'm coming to you today with a guest, a man that I met recently. He's an everyday person, an average American, a man who has a unique story to tell, a unique history in that how he came to be a resident of Macon in Middle Georgia. His name is John Swats, and we'll get into a little bit of his history right at the beginning, but my impressions of John is that even though he's had his challenges, even though he's had some trials and tribulations in his life, he didn't let those challenges swallow him up. He persevered. He endured some harsh times and some harsh treatment, but in spite of that, like I said, he's rose above his circumstances and he's become an articulate and I find it to be very intelligent. And he's exactly the kind of a person that I look for in a guest. I'm not looking for guests who are prominent, so to speak. I will, if the occasion arises, to have guests who are maybe prominent politicians or local celebrities and this and that. But I'm really looking for the people who boots on the ground, who grassroots, down to earth, and who are willing to talk about experiences from let's say, for lack of a better term, from the bottom up. I'm not looking for a top down. So with that, I want to introduce John Swats, who's been a Macon resident, not originally from Macon-Bibb County, like myself. I'm from Chicago, and I moved to Macon when I was 13 years old in 1967. John, even though we are both baby boomers, he was born, let's say, in the last decade of that span. I was born in the first decade of that span. And so we've got a little bit of an age difference, not huge, but maybe a gap significant enough to have a difference of opinion on certain things. But what's interesting about John is John ended up staying in Macon after being paroled from prison, the Central State Prison out on Fulton Mill Road. And I'll let him talk about his beginnings in Macon. And so, John, go ahead and tell people about yourself.
Okay, thank you. So yes, I'm John Swats. I paroled here in July 2007. I had spent over 10 years at Central State Prison for armed robbery, which occurred in Atlanta in the 80s. But I wasn't able to go back to Atlanta, so I wound up at right there downtown Macon. I fell right into the pot, you might say, because I was on Spring Street, which is at the top of Poplar Street, at a halfway house designed by a church reformer by the name of Dot Pinkerton, Lighthouse Mission. You might have heard of it. And my family paid the rent to stay there, and I did 90 days there, and then pretty much stayed downtown for over a decade. I worked a bunch of construction sites. Let's see, I helped build the Heart Center.
That's that's that big addition that faces First Street. That big.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have pictures of that with the cardboard in the window.
Okay.
Um, at that time, angioplasm was on the rise. The balloons and all stents were incredible. $125, 125,000, and so it was a new thing, and it was going to blow up. You know how that went. I personally could tell you how that went, but that's another 20 years later. I built the helicopter pad on top of the medical center with Bates Roofing.
Okay.
Tommy Bates.
I know that company. Yeah.
Yeah, I loved him. He was such a character, but he was a good guy, even though he was a little rough around the edges. He had that kind of growl like, John, get over here. I need you to hang off the side.
Yeah.
And tie him off. Don't let him fall them 8 stories down. And it was just great. He was a wonderful man. I'd come home every day covered in tar. I lived on Magnolia Street, which is right below the Washington Library. I was the only black person on the street. And they had weekly parties, drinking parties at different porches. And I scared a lot of people, which shocked me because at the time I was 48. Still handsome, strong, educated. And these were also young, educated people. Half of them were school teachers, and they were frightened of me. And I could never figure that out.
Did they know your background then?
It wasn't my background. It was my education.
Now, let me stop you right there. Now, you got your education. You got your degree from Mercer in prison.
Yes. Back in the day, you could go to prison on nights and the weekends, and that Mercer would come down and teach you. And I got a bachelor's of science in 92, human resources. One of my teachers is a famous psychiatrist here in town, Dr. Amy Flowers. And she was a wonderful woman. She's still in town. But I think the Magnolia crowd was just frightened by the fact that I was not going to talk about current events, or I was going to talk about current events as they applied to us, as opposed to just, I just wasn't a trifling person. I think that scared them more than anything, which I'm okay with.
But getting back to to those classes that you back then that you could take in prison, which has been ended since
95.
Since 95.
Jesse Helms, Jesse Helms killed it.
That was what was that? What was that program?
The Pell Grant program.
Pell Grant, yeah.
Pell Grant did it all. I mean, my degree looks like everybody else's.
Justice, yeah.
But Jesse Helms was part of that right wing.
Tough on crime. Don't coddle prisoners and all this.
That's punitive penitentiaries. And he felt like men should not be better themselves by getting an education, lifting weights, or getting 3 packages a year at Christmas.
Which makes no sense to me, John, because how did we get away from the prison? People make mistakes. They make errors in life. And prison should be about second chances, of course, but rehabilitation. And that, to me, is what we've gotten away from with all these mandatory sentences and tough on crime and let's send them to prison and forget about them and they don't deserve anything. They made a mistake and now all of a sudden they've lost their humanity. We don't look at them as human beings anymore. Criminal justice system should be about rehabilitating them and bringing them back in society, and so they can be productive and and don't carry that burden of being uh, ostracized
Mhm.
anymore.
The
And
resentment politics got us there, and everybody on both sides are guilty of it. Um, Hillary Clinton was coined as saying that super criminals, black people who sell crack, and so and the right, of course, Jesse Helms and the rest of them did the rest. She later came back and tried to get forgiveness for that statement, but it stuck with her.
yeah, stuck
Um,
with her. Yeah,
if you go back further, you see where the CIA dropped the cocaine off in the neighborhoods and made a profit for Iran Contra war stuff.
exactly.
So I mean, you got to watch out for. I say we got here because of resentment politics. A lot of people resented the fact he's got an education, he can talk, he's articulate, he can write, he can read, he's got skills. Well, I don't like that. Well, I mean, resenting other people for their talents and gifts and callings is stupid. I heard one of the best sermons I ever heard from the outgoing pastor at Beulah Land, Carlos Kelly, I think his name was, before he went to Washington. He watch night service. His theme was um, mind your own business and what is your assignment. And he alluded to Jesus and John talking, and John saying, "What about Peter?" And Peter saying, "What about John?" And Jesus told them, "Mind your own assignments. You each have a different assignment." Of course, we know Peter became the Pope, was crucified upside down, and John lived to be 90 on the island of Patmos, and he wrote the Revelation. We have assignments. If man would do what he was given to do, good.
That's right.
Good.
You was like, and what Christianity is, of course, the predominant religion in this country, and yet, John, I read the entire Bible
Mhm.
when I was 10 years old.
Mhm.
I didn't read it with understanding.
Mhm.
I just read it because I was a voracious reader.
Mhm.
And I read, Greek mythology, Norse mythology, Roman mythology, those kinds of books. Uh, and when I started reading the Bible, especially in the Old Testament, it had that kind of vibe
Mhm.
to me. And uh, the historical parts of you know, the Hebrews and Jews, their journey, their struggles,
Mhm.
how they endured slavery, came out of slavery, Moses, and settling in in Canaan and in that area, trying to establish their homeland or establish it. So I read it, the entire Bible, and then when I got to the New Testament, this is supposed to be where what you're talking about,
Mhm. Mhm.
being a good person.
Mhm.
Jesus.
Mhm.
It's about love, mercy, forgiveness.
Mhm.
And it seems like there's a large segment of Christians that they've lost sight of that. You're put on this earth to be a humanitarian.
Mhm.
Now, that's what Jesus wanted us
Mhm.
to be humane, to love, to forgive,
Mhm.
to show mercy. And yet, you listen to Christians talk, especially on the extreme right side of the aisle,
Mhm.
they're about vengeance, revenge,
Mhm.
retribution, vindictiveness. Where is that in the New Testament? Is that anything that Jesus is talking about or proposing? It's all right to have a different point of view,
Mhm.
but be the first thing every human being should be on earth, no matter what religion you are, no matter what side of the political aisle you are on, you should be a humanitarian
Mhm.
first. Then, if you were in a war or whatever, God forbid, Yeah, you can prosecute that war to protect your territory, protect your people, but don't commit war crimes doing it
Mm-hmm.
like I see the Israelis doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, protect your homeland, but don't firing into people in line to get food aid. Don't be dropping bombs on schools or in hospitals. So yeah, I get exactly what you're saying. So yeah,
But now, when I came to Macon, I was aghast at what you said and saw, and I saw it too. Macon has the most churches of any town for its population in America. 340 people for every church in Macon would fill up all of Macon. They're the most church populated town. So the first time the doors opened, I went straight across the street from Dot Pinkerton's house on Spring Street to St. Joe's. And I had plenty of money. My mom had died, left me $50,000. Took a year or two afterwards, but I got some money. And my wallet was so fat, I had to put it in my front pocket, as it is today. I couldn't sit on it; it would hurt my back.
okay.
Um, I walked into church. Everybody started grabbing their kids. They started looking over their shoulder at me. I looked around. I was the only black person there. St. Joe's. I came back a couple more times. I saw a maid, like a Jamaican of Jamaican ancestry. She was one of the few people. And I saw a couple of white Spanish people. And so I asked the pastor, I said, does any black people come here? He said, you need to go to the black church. I said, the black church? Where's that? It's down on Ward Street, St. Peter Clavel. I said, okay. So it was a little further to walk. I wasn't driving at the time. I packed up earlier and went down there. Those people treated me the same way.
Oh.
And I was a practicing Catholic. I had taken Mass, communion at 13. And the last 5 years I was in prison in Central, the priest would come and hand out the Eucharist and take confession. And they treated me like a third-class citizen, regardless of who they thought I was. They didn't inquire. Where's your faith? How long have you been a Catholic? They just saw a single man, and he was the trouble. Later, I discovered that the Catholic Church and Macon is designed to enroll kids for those expensive schools. And if you're not part of that crew, then they're not really trying to evangelize or proselytize you. And they don't really care about your faith. Unlike you, Al, I was a voracious reader too, but I didn't get the Bible until I was 21 years old.
Okay.
I had read War and Peace. I had read Day in the Life of Ivan Illich. I had read everything there was. L. Ron Hubbard, UFOs, Hal Lindsey. Nobody brought me the Bible. One of my uncles, my mom's brother, was a minister, and all he could do was show off his Cadillac every year when we go to visit him in Atlanta. Nobody broke the bread to me. It wasn't until I was 21 did some church group say, we got a Bible study, and I stayed for a year. The secret to me is I'm a credential carrying, award-winning person. You stay, and we'll give you this, and I'll stay and get it. And I got 400 Bible certificates and home study courses, and I went to go up to join the church, and nobody raised their hand. I said, well, what's going on here? And they said, we don't want black people in this church.
Wow.
I won't name the denomination. But I said, well, you just had me go through Bible study for a whole year, and I'm ready to become a member. And they said, we don't have black people in this church. And there was a 90-year-old black woman sitting in the back. She says, she's right. They don't want black members.
That's pitiful.
And so I'm like you. I love the Word of God, especially the New Testament. I've studied the Greek, Hebrew, and Chaldean. I've studied with some very important people. I've met Joyce Myers in prison. She came and spent the weekend with me. So we watch her my family watch her every day. Because I can say I met this preacher, and she's been going at it for 40 years. Nonstop. But religion has no power over people who don't allow it to have power over them. There's no analogy I can make other than the fact that unless you're led by the Spirit, you're led by the flesh. And that's what happened in Macon on the religion tip. Now, I've been to some more churches, and it was the same thing. You're not married. You don't got no kids. That girl you got, you're not legally married. What use are you? Show us your income tax, your W-2s, where we make you a member. All these hoops you run through.
That's got nothing to do with your spirituality and your.
Well, if Jesus had said that, they'd been all been in trouble. So I thought that was it. That's my religious experience in Macon. I haven't been in church in 3 or 4 years now because of that. I think I come with my.
And that's the big problem that Christianity is having, not only in this country but around the world. People see what you just described, and what I see every day is people who may have a spark of faith or spirituality in them, and they see the reality of these hypocritical attitudes of no tolerance, lack of mercy, lack of forgiveness, exactly the exact opposite of the man who gave his name to the religion itself.
Yes.
The exact opposite of what he taught. And people are seeing real actions, real attitudes, real personalities, and they saying, no, that's not for me.
There was a little meme going around where somebody says to the monkey, you better act right or you won't get to heaven. He says, well, what's up there? People like me, you got to do better than that. You got to do better. You got to do better than that. So, but there's that part of my journey that the church failed me, and it has failed me for 20 years. But I don't look to it. I still have faith in God. I still believe in the Word. I still will cut a rug with the gospel in a minute. And I love religious songs, and I love Mahalia Jackson, my favorite, and Kurt Franklin. And all that, but I know that it's not for sale. It's not to put on a show. It's not to. It's a gift I was given. I didn't earn, so it's shining off of something shiny and gold that was given to me by God, and all my talents are that way. I became a great photographer. So George Cokes on Cherry Street was my photography coach.
I remember that, and I've seen some of your pictures, and you are very good.
And I'm gonna upload them to you so you can share them on the website.
Okay.
And I'll definitely send you some. And I became very good. George Cokes was a great teacher and mentor. His father was the pastor of the church. It's the Presbyterian church across from the courthouse, the big yellow one with the steeple. He said my father pastored that church for 50 years. So he was a great Christian guy, married to a Jewish woman. And I'd come in there with my 35 millimeter camera, and the rolls to develop was $20 to $25. And he said, John, you got your finger in this. It's out of focus. Okay. I tell you what, I'm gonna make a deal with you. I will not charge you for a bad picture. I just won't develop it. I'll charge you for the good ones. And through that process, he made me an excellent photographer. I learned to square up with a 35 millimeter. Don't be shaky. Get my thumb out of the picture.
Yeah. And
lighting was everything for me. And you'll see in the pictures, and I'll definitely post them on the site for them, that lighting was everything. And a few years later, I had a trunk load of these negatives and small 35 millimeter pictures. I was renovating the Poplar Street building. Spent the whole year there with Tony Long, renovating every building in that block except Grant's Lounge.
Except Grant's, okay.
So I got the black history of that block. It was burnt down one night and sold for $50,000, the entire block. You do your research.
That's on the, is that on the same side as Grant's?
Yes, the whole block. The whole block was sold for $50,000. All the black people had businesses there, and they got run out.
Got run out. Now, I remember you telling me this story a little bit ago, and I could see the. So I remember you telling me about that, and so I don't think I was here in Macon when that happened.
No, I wasn't here. It was like '05, '06. But when I came in '07, it was just a burnt out block.
Okay.
And the renovation began.
Yeah, yeah.
Yellow Cab was on the corner, and I raked $50 worth of quarters, dimes, and nickels out of the floor.
Oh,
That
okay.
they had millions of dollars just in coins laying under the ashes.
Under the ashes. Okay.
A black shoe cobbler was next door, and so ironic because we're the ones who invented the mass market stitching that goes on shoes, and he was still a cobbler. He stayed above his shop, and his machinery was downstairs for decades. Um, Lafayette, the radio DJ record man, he actually moved back to the block. The Willows there. Mr. Johnson had a segregated hotel on the corner there. They've just turned that into a thrift
Corner of
store.
was it corner of Second Street or Third Street? You're still
Yeah,
talking about
yeah,
Poplar Street.
Yeah,
Okay.
that block, the Grant's Lounge
Okay.
block.
Okay.
G Money was the club down the street from Grant's, which caused all the hula ball. One night, 5 people got shot. And the city said, that's enough. Some guy ran through shooting, 5 people got injured, and they closed the block and they condemned the block. But all that was black-owned businesses. The pharmacy was on the corner, and he'd cash people's check
I remember the
and
pharmacy.
loan them money. And on the very end of the street was a segregated black hotel where blacks only could stay, and you couldn't stay anywhere else, but that was it. And it was a beauty parlor in there, and I stayed 6 months in that building.
Was it listed in the, what was that back in the day? The Green Book?
Yes, it was.
Oh,
In fact,
okay.
I saved the article on Facebook when they finally mentioned it a few weeks ago that there was a black segregated hotel that was in the Green Book in Macon, and that was the one I renovated. So I touched a lot of black history as it was being covered up by white and bankers.
Oh, okay.
So I saw that.
Well, I want to get into, because I don't want to run out of time before I get to this, and that is your history with the origins, the beginning of Daybreak.
Oh, okay. So in my early years, my girlfriend and I would go downtown looking for things to do, non-nightclub orientated. There was a woman, Denise Saturno, and her husband, Joe, would serve hot dogs to the homeless right there at Poplar Street across from where I was actually working at. And I got in with her and some friends from Jones County and Twiggs County and just white Christians who felt like it was their thing to take care of the homeless by feeding them hot meals in the evening, especially on Friday and Saturday.
Yes.
The town frowned on it after a while because the crowd got rather large.
Was that the, you talking about the government? I mean, was it, would they consider it loitering, or were you breaking laws or anything like that?
Yeah, mainly they came back with, you only got a vendor's license to be serving food, and they ran them around a few times to the Bibb Theater, and they tried to go to the fountain over there by the Dempsey, and you can't be serving hot food, and they just didn't want all those homeless people so visibly getting handouts. And at that time, people were really sleeping on Poplar Street. People were really sleeping in those abandoned buildings. It was like almost 75 to 80. Small deviation here. I was at a neighborhood watch, and graffiti was the issue. People were writing graffiti all over. And some guy came and said, hey, black people, these poor people, they writing graffiti. And the cop stood up and said, these are all Warner Robins and other white kids writing graffiti. Graffiti is to tag the area that you control.
Okay, yeah.
So no black person or homeless person would tag an area because he doesn't control that area downtown. And they said, we've already got these doctors' kids and lawyers' kids and firemen's kids, and we've already caught them and made them cover it up and gave them community service. But this is not black homeless people doing all this graffiti downtown.
But they took the rap.
They took the rap. So, they say the devil gets blamed for half the things he don't do. Well, the homeless people get blamed for half the things they don't do.
Right.
But Denise was blessed with Sister Grimley or Grimley, not sure. They got together at St. Peter Clavel and found the place called Daybreak, which is just past the Marathon on Walnut Street on the right. Renovated it, put showers there, a tech room, um, conference room, a large day area for people to sit and respite and have respite and or repose where they could repose. And it was wonderful. Counselors came in and helped them with their paperwork if they needed.
What year was this?
This is easily 2009, 2011, 12. It was pretty fast. That. They said, we got to get these people off of Poplar Street. They're hurting or clogging the businesses, and it actually worked. For the ones who wanted to get a shower and wanted to use the phone and wanted to get on a computer and wanted to contact their loved ones or wanted a bus pass to go somewhere where their loved ones would wait for them, that worked. There's always going to be a hardcore crowd of 30, 40 locals who thrive on the street. And then that's the dichotomy. Over the years that I've seen Daybreak and mingled with those people, although I've always worked, there's been that core of I'm a homeless person, I'm a terror on the streets, I'm going to have to beat you up in order for you to walk down there. There's always going to be that homeless nomad who needs help and counseling or at least drugs.
Drugs, yeah.
But the cops have made it clear that it's not the homeless people doing a lot of the vandalism and damage, although they may be guilty of some of the burglaries. Those are just the perennials. They're like, say, 2 or 3% do all the crime. You just keep locking them up. I saw one white guy. He stayed at a hotel way down the bottom of Riverside by Acura, way down there. That hotel was on the left-hand side. He had been locked up 65 times in 1 year. There's only 52 weeks in a year. so what's that?
So he was being recycled just in.
He was getting in on Monday, coming out on Wednesday, coming back that Friday, all for burglary. And he was bringing the goods to the hotel owner. And so when you have a revolving door system where a guy could do 65 arrests in a year, you can't blame nobody but the system.
That's the system, yeah.
But Daybreak has done great. They've been through 3 or 4 Mother Superiors.
And the original one was, say her name again?
Sister Elizabeth.
Okay.
Oh, but Denise Eterno and Sister Grimes, I think.
Okay.
DePaul University linked up with them.
They linked up with them, yeah.
But they've done a great job, and I really can't knock them. And then the Coup d'Iet was the housing project in the back. So 2 years ago, Macon Housing Authority said, we'll build on that spot. They got the dirty soil out of there. The Mexicans came in and put those wood frames up in less than 18 months in rain and sleet and hail. 12
and I was volunteering down to Daybreak during that period.
Yeah.
So I saw that.
They worked relentlessly before the deportations got crazy, and they built that place in less than 6 months. And it's 3 units where Daybreak has like 20 beds, and they've got a clinic in there, a huge clinic where people come down and get treated. And they're doing a great job. Like I said, now you see, when I go to Daybreak, I see the same old 15, 20 people that just want to cause trouble.
Yeah.
And you're going to have that. You're going to have those malcontents.
You're going to find a certain percentage, a stable certain percentage of troublemakers, whether they're homeless, middle class, upper class,
or rich. Yeah. There's always going to be those rebel rousers that I'm going to come in and start trouble. And they pretty much weeded them out. They banned them. A couple of them know to keep their mouth shut. They only come around when there's a fight involved. But for its most part, Daybreak has done a tremendously good job. The Sleep Out raises money every year.
Yes.
Chuck Lavelle, one of my rock and roll heroes, is there all the time.
Right.
And they've had music concerts and Mercer concerts. I think the only drawback is when one of the counselors was a friend of mine, Robert, and he was offered a halfway house transition head position in Atlanta. And he had his master's. I said, well, look, dude, put me in for your job because I know everybody by their first name.
Right.
And they said, no, we don't want you. And I'm like, a bachelor's from Mercer in human resources where I know all the homeless people by their first name does not qualify me for a job at Daybreak? And they look at me like I'm a pariah. I see the counselor women's coming through there. They don't have the degree that I got, or they're trying to get the degree that I've got.
And you couldn't even get an interview.
Couldn't even get an interview and still can't get respect. So, I mean, it's a little 6 to 1 half to, that's almost like the library thing. I'm going to have to say this quick because I know it's not in good taste, but I'll say it. I was a librarian for 10 years in prison. I ordered the books. I pushed the cart around to the people that were in segregated units.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I recommended, the great Black history tomes, Man, Child, and the Promised Land, Native Son,
Yeah.
Autobiography of Malcolm X, anything by King.
Right.
I ordered comic books, but some people are stuck on pop culture, so they like People magazine. I did all that, and I think our budget was $8,000 a year on magazines and books.
Mm-hmm.
So I was well versed in the Dewey Decimal System and could learn the Library of Congress system. I was a smidgen away from getting a library degree, and I lived next to the library for several years downtown. And they had an opening, and they'd say bachelor's degree required, put in, and they swept my stuff to the carpet, to the trash can. And I finally called downtown, and I said, "How come I can't get in the library?" And they said, will not hire educated Black men.
Oh, man. They actually had the nerve to tell you that.
Well, I like it when people tell me the truth.
Oh, of course, I hear you.
And I used to be in the past, well, that's your reality, that's not mine. But I realize now that the truth is one of the hardest pills to swallow.
Oh, yes.
And you might have to take out your knife and cut it 3 or 4 times to take it in chunks. But they would never hire an educated Black man in the Macon-Bibb County system. I was James Baldwin to their Flannery O'Connor. Now, to me and you, we think, well, they were great Southern writers, but O'Connor felt like the civil rights movement was unnecessary and Black people needed to wait their chance.
Mm-hmm.
And she was against Baldwin, King, and everybody else.
Yes, civil rights in general. And Baldwin was our warrior, our prince, our knight in shining armor. And I realize I'm on that side of the fence. I'm on the Malcolm X side, y'all. And I'm okay with that. And it's interesting to, when you look at that aspect of it, we live in a society today where diversity and equality and inclusion is under attack.
Yes.
And the reason why it's under attack is that certain segments of the population have been indoctrinated, I guess, to believe that everything's okay. Equality rules the day. You don't need it anymore. We're now discriminating against white people.
Yeah, the word post-racial society.
Yeah, exactly. And what you're talking about shows you that, no, it's still necessary to keep your eyes on the ball and be watchful for discrimination that still exists, that it's still there, and it's still active, and people out there, I'm not going to put a percentage on it, but there are racist people in the United States, in the highest levels of government, and all the way down.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting that we're trying to erase history, and history is still being made.
Yeah, because the controller, the main voice for NASA was a Black woman, and the main pilot was a Black man. So the irony is not lost on me. But I stayed in construction for many years. Like I said, my crown achievement was the Children's Hospital. I was down at Daybreak. I had been out of work for a year, just living off food stamps and the kindness of my girlfriend. And I was in the tech room doing the library every day, which is basically a computer room to help people get logged on and making calls. And a guy walked in and said, I'm tired of that damn job. They fired me. And I said, what job was that? It's up there building that children's hospital. And what he had done was he inappropriately adjusted his underwear in public. He was on his main street, dropped his pants, pulled his shirt down tight, pulled his pants back up, basically revealed himself, and they fired him for public indecency, which is right.
Okay. Wow.
You're wearing a hard hat and a fluorescent vest. You've got to be on your best behavior.
Okay. Yeah.
You're already a target for everybody looking.
Mm.
And so I ran up there the next day and said, I heard this guy got fired and y'all building a hospital. And they said, They called me back in 3 days. I came back. I came to work. They were just getting started, and I stayed a year. And they actually had to run me off. They finally said, John, we're about to hit the bottle at the side of the building with champagne. Beverly Knight Olson's about to come in and claim this. Go get your unemployment. Mm. And so that was probably my crowning achievement, that I was able to build that children's hospital, 90 NICU beds. The building was split in half with the old children's hospital, so you had to connect them. You could actually look across through a hole in the wall 4 floors up and see where you would connect the two buildings, and that was awesome work. And I always say, I helped build that. I put the glass in there, I hauled everything up and down 6 or 7 stories. And that was my last in-town job. I'm retired now.
Well, yeah. And before we end this podcast, because we're going to have to wind it up, talk about, you said you had a YouTube channel that you want to put out there?
So Swat's Cat, I think it's John Swat's, but it's Swat's Cat, is my pictures. It has my slideshows, and so you might enjoy it. And I can't recommend anything other than that. My Facebook page was deleted.
Oh yeah.
But that's all good, because when I make money, I don't need nobody looking me up. But it's on a JOHN SWATZ 1, and it's got a channel, and you can see my videos and my photography there. I recommend Ascension, Hide and Seek, Cigar, and Silver Mist.
Okay.
Yeah, and like I said, I'll send Al a bunch of my pictures that he can put on his podcast on the page for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, my podcast it's audio only.
Yeah.
But I do have a channel where I believe I can post pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah, stills.
Yeah.
And so if you send me that, and I'll look into that.
Yeah.
Like I say, I'm a baby boomer. I'm learning about technology on the fly, and
we're both baby boomers.
Yeah, and so you do that, and I'll see if I can post some of your art. I won't hesitate to call it that, because, like I said, I've seen them.
I'm a poet too. I published 2 poetry books.
Oh, okay. Well, tell us about that right quick.
Oh, I had a poetry book called Voyager, and I had it published by Blue Sky. Used to be over there by the bank on Cherry Street, off of Cherry Street. And I took it to the Tubman, and they said they didn't want it. Voyager was the centerpiece, and that was inspired by Nikki Giovanni. Yeah, you'll love it. I'll let you read it. But she said, why not put Black history with science fiction? And she just did a great job.
Okay.
And so I definitely have to share that with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, then.
Thank you so much. And I enjoyed, I'll be glad to be coming back.
Yeah, as we get into this election season, we'll certainly have a lot of talk about during this tumultuous time. I'm not looking forward to any of the celebrations,
fightings
that are coming in for the July 4th.
No,
I don't know what's going on in the world right now. Everything is being, it look like, calculated distractions.
Yes,
that is being perpetrated on us, and who knows what the future is going to bring. What we're going to be paying for the price of gas. uh, what's what what's the outcome going to be in 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 Palestine and Iran and Ukraine and my goodness gracious. Anyway, so yes, uh,
I look forward to talking to you next time about the gubernatorial race because we have a guy in town. He's the owner operator of Flying Biscuit.
oh okay,
Estevez, I think his name. He says he's a black man, and he's running for governor.
oh, okay,
Yeah, and
okay.
yeah. So we have our local candidate running for governor.
All right then.
Yeah.
So that's a topic for next time.
Yes.
So listeners, I hope you enjoyed today's podcast and with my guest, John Swatz, a resident of Macon, who's been, like I said, he's overcome some trials and tribulations that are unique and to himself and his personal issues and his struggles. He's looked them in the eye. He faced them, and despite all of the letdowns and setbacks and everything, he's kept a positive outlook, and I appreciate him. And it made me want to have him as a guest on this show as an example on don't let nothing hold you back. Keep your chin up. Always look forward and do your best. So until next time, Middle Georgia, this is Al Perry, the Sonic Boomer.
Okay, Boomer. Okay.
And we'll see you, or you'll hear from me on my next podcast, whenever that may be. So just keep subscribing to my channel and listen for it. And until the next time, have a good day. Thank you.